Welcome to the deep dive. You've given us your sources, and well, our job is to dig in and pull out the key stuff to get you informed fast.
Exactly.
And today we're diving into something really practical, how to get better at English conversation.
A really common goal for learners.
Totally. Our source, it's basically an English conversation lesson script, but we're going deeper than just the lesson itself.
Right. We're looking for those practical strategies you can actually use.
Yeah, the mission for you listening is to grab those tips, those insights to boost your conversation skills.
So let's kick things off with the question from the script itself.
Okay. Do you prefer village life or city life? Just, take a second to think about your answer. It's a good way into this whole topic.
It really is. And, what's interesting is how the script starts by showing, not just telling the value of listening. It's not just about grammar rules or lists of words, is it? It's about tuning in to how real conversations actually, sound and feel.
Right. Like listening to this chat they have about villages versus cities. You pick up more than just the vocabulary.
You absolutely do. You're hearing the rhythm, the intonation, how people actually put sentences together when they're talking naturally, not like reading from a textbook.
And the script gives us that example straight away with Emma and Jake. They're not just listing facts.
No, they're reacting to each other, asking follow-up questions, sharing how they feel about it.
Let's look at that a bit closer. Notice how new words just kind of pop up naturally.
Yes, like pros and cons. It doesn't just appear.
No, it's immediately explained, advantages and disadvantages.
And that's so much better than just memorizing a word in isolation, right? You see it used, you get the meaning from the flow, it sticks.
Definitely. Okay, so let's break down how they keep that conversation going, the mechanics of it.
Good idea.
Look at the start. Emma says, "Hi, Jake. How you doing today?" Simple stuff.
But important. It sets a friendly tone. Then she asks that open question. What do you think about it?
The open-ended question.
Mm.
Crucial. Why is that so key, do you think?
Well, it invites more than just a yes or no, doesn't it? What do you think? Asks for an opinion, a proper contribution, makes the other person feel involved.
Yeah, it gets the ball rolling.
And they both keep it rolling. They show they're interested using phrases like, what about you? Or even just pausing, letting the other person jump in.
And it's not just listening, it's active engagement. They state their preferences clearly, but also why.
Right. Jake likes the village because it's peaceful, closer to nature. Emma brings in her experience of living in both.
So it's not just, I like villages, it's, here's why I like villages, giving reasons.
Exactly. And even when they don't totally agree, notice how respectful they are.
Yeah, I completely agree. Or that's a good point.
Those little phrases signal, I'm listening, I hear you, I value what you're saying. It keeps the conversation positive.
And then boom, a smooth shift. They start talking about pets.
Yeah, it doesn't feel weird or abrupt.
No, it just flows naturally, like real conversations do. They wander a bit.
And again, different views. Emma's not sure about pets. Jake talks about companionship, stress relief.
A nice little debate, almost.
Yeah.
But friendly. How does being able to shift topics like that help?
Well, it keeps things dynamic, prevents it from feeling like an interview or, too rigid. A good conversation often explores different avenues. The skill is making that transition feel natural, maybe linking it somehow.
And the script even includes that bit about the breakup, which feels quite personal. And that really highlights something important, doesn't it? That good conversation isn't just about facts or opinions.
Absolutely. It's about connection, empathy, support.
Those phrases like, "Oh no, Jake, I'm really sorry to hear that," offering comfort. That's a huge part of communicating effectively in any language.
It really is. It reminds us language is fundamentally about connecting with other humans. Okay, so the script also gives some very concrete practice tips. We should probably look at those.
Yes. The practice tips section. Okay, first one. Talk to yourself in English throughout your day. Now that might sound odd.
It might. It might feel a bit strange at first.
Yeah, like if you're already feeling self-conscious, how do you even start doing that?
Well, think of it like practicing scales on a piano, maybe. It's low stakes practice. You're just getting your brain and mouth used to forming English sentences, trying out words.
Without worrying about someone listening.
Exactly. No pressure. You could just narrate what you're doing. Okay, now I'm making coffee. Or describe things you see. That's an interesting building. It builds fluency and confidence sort of behind the scenes.
Okay, that makes sense. And the next tip, recording your voice.
Ah, yes. The one everyone loves to hate initially.
Yeah, hearing your own voice could be jarring.
It can, but honestly, it's incredibly useful. You spot things, pronunciation quirks, maybe where your intonation goes a bit flat, things you just don't notice when you're speaking live.
Self-awareness, basically.
Totally. And like the script says, you might actually be surprised. You might listen back and think, hey, that actually sounded okay.
I don't sound as bad as I thought.
Right. And that little confidence boost, that can be really motivating.
Good point. And finally, it loops back to vocabulary, but specifically learning it in context.
Which we saw with pros and cons.
Yeah, it just lands better when you see how a word is actually used in a real sentence, in a real conversation.
Definitely. You get the nuance, the typical situations it's used in, the kind of tone. It's much richer than just a word on a list. It helps you actually use the word correctly later.
So, wrapping this up then, what are the main things for you, the listener, to take away from this deep dive?
Well, first, I'd say really value listening. Pay attention to how natural conversations flow, how people react, the little strategies they use.
And second, actively look for those key elements, how people start talks, share opinions with reasons, agree, disagree politely.
And transition between topics.
Right. Observe it all.
And then those practical tips. Seriously, think about trying the talk to yourself thing. And maybe brave the voice recording.
Even if it feels weird.
Especially if it feels weird. It often means you're pushing your comfort zone, which is where learning happens, and keep building vocabulary through context.
Yeah. Ultimately, getting better at conversation, it's an active thing, isn't it? You've got to listen, practice, and build that confidence.
It's a journey, for sure.
Okay, so here's a final thought for you to take away. Think about the last English conversation you had, or just imagine one. Can you pick out one specific thing, maybe a phrase, maybe a technique, like asking an open question, just one thing from our discussion today that you could deliberately try next time?
Just focus on one small thing.
Yeah. Think about how actively listening for cues and maybe trying out one simple phrase or technique could actually make a difference in how well you connect with someone in English. Give it some thought. You might find it helps more than you expect.